Yo, what is going on, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of UrbanPitch.com. Julio Matorosa, Bridget Flores, back in the building. Bridget Flores, what's going on?
Been back after what, like a month?
Yeah, we got to use the full government name because we're not really familiar anymore, you know?
People miss me. They remember me. They're going to be like, oh, she's back and she's sick again.
No, but if you leave the game, will the game still miss? I don't know.
That's right. Leave the game before the game leaves you. That's what they always say, right? But Bridget, happy belated birthday, first of all.
You.
You know, that's why the voice is a little raspy because,
you know, long night yesterday. Not because I was celebrating, but work was long day of work, but appreciate it.
Yeah. It's good to have everybody back in the studio because we have a very special guest. He is, multi-hyphenate content creator, storyteller, podcaster, former Division I player at Howard University. Matt Marshall is here, and he's here to help debut a new-ish format that we've been talking about since we took that hiatus. But first off, we'll get into that. But first off, Matt, welcome to the show.
What an intro! I appreciate it. I appreciate being here. Glad to be here. I appreciate you guys.
We like to make you feel, welcome.
I feel very welcome.
There you go.
You've done your research.
Yeah, I mean,
storytelling. That's one I don't tell people often.
Right.
I'm glad you recognize.
That's why he starts it off, because we would be like, "What's up? How are you?"
This guy, he's cool.
What up, Matt?
So you're doing that for us, so we didn't do our research.
Right. Now you guys know. Think about some questions.
It's like throwing facts out for us.
Storyteller, that's a good one. Yeah, okay, I like this guy. Yeah.
You guys told me it was Dempsey this week.
Muscle Minnow.
So just to kind of break it down, so we like to have conversations on this podcast, and for the last 3+ years we've been doing that. We've been
it's 3 years.
Over 100+ episodes with us. I think over 150.
200, over 200.
Yeah, total 200 episodes total. We had a previous format in which before the gang kind of took over, but
Okay.
So we're starting to kind of just consolidate things, make it a little bit more structured. So we'll go through, the main topic of the day. We'll get some hot takes on, and then throw some wild card action in there. So super simple, nothing too
segmented.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. We're not doing like the whole. I don't know if you watched Dan Le Batard's his show.
Yeah, exactly.
When he was with ESPN, and they would do like the kind of with Poppy there. I love that stuff, around. But we'll leave that to the ESPN.
Shout out Dan Le Batard and the homie Mike Ryan who were on that show.
Yeah.
Poppy.
And the Poppy. Yeah, we love Poppy. We love Poppy.
His hip hop history was amazing.
Yeah. But before we get into that, you just got to do some quick housekeeping. You can find us on urbanpitch.com, urban.pitch on Instagram and TikTok, urban_pitch on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify. Watch us both on both platforms. Find us on the OneFootball and Yahoo Sports platforms as well. So go do that. Subscribe to all that. You guys know the drill. But Matt, what's going on, man? It's good to have you on.
I appreciate being on, from podcaster to podcasters. Loving the setup. Definitely subscribe. I'm subscribing on my new my other platforms as well. But yeah, everything's interesting. Everything's good. Not too much to be sad about these days, other than just going through life.
Yeah. And so I think it's kind of a strange. We're in that kind of like limbo mode right now because the summer's over. The sprint to the 2026 World Cup is on its way. There's all types of news dropping. The tickets have just kind of made their ways. And I think it's just like from your perspective, you grew up a soccer fan. Can you just talk about a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the main topic of the day?
Definitely. I'm a soccer player through and through. I now identify as it, which was I'll get into it. It was kind of a transition in my life to get to that point. From Atlanta, Georgia, originally. Really rich soccer culture in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out Atlanta, from before I was born, but again, was so dormant. Nobody really had any understanding of it. Played all sports growing up. Was recruited to college for basketball and soccer. Landed at Howard University for soccer. There was a new coach coming in that had like a 95% graduation record. So my mom loved that, had some family in DC. And it was kind of at that point going into college where I actually realized and identified as a baller, as a soccer player. Mm-hmm. It was almost something, I'm not gonna say it was shunned, but it's definitely kind of something that wasn't so celebrated growing up in Atlanta, and it was actually kind of a point of segregation in a way, right? Like all of my black friends, we were hooping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of my inner city friends too, including all races, we would be in the city hooping, going places. And then I had this kind of separate identity. I'm the youngest of 4. My brothers and sisters grew up playing as well, and I kind of emulated my brother, who kind of went to higher levels, at least at that level, in high school. And you had to get outside of the city to go and actually ball, to go find good ball, to go and find grass, and to go and find programs that would actually kind of advance you. So it was really an interesting upbringing in that I'm going a little bit, astray, but I'm a big fan of Will Smith, and I read his book a couple of years ago, and he talked about kind of becoming a people pleaser because he had to identify with different people around the city. Grew up in West Philly, but went to the Catholic school across town.
Had to go to Bel Air.
And then went to Bel Air, right? And then Uncle Phil, and then what happens after that?
Yeah, one little fight,
just one little fight.
For no reason,
But that was kind of like, that was honestly like my transition. I definitely felt like, my high school was probably 70% black, but it was very kind of, I don't want to say segregated, but just split amongst the magnet programs versus the other regular programs and the certain sports. And I actually won for the first ever time. It was called the John Lewis, who's a famous civil rights activist in Atlanta. The John Lewis, I can't even remember the award, but it was like the likability award. I don't know what it was, but it was essentially like
the people pleaser.
Yeah,
award.
the people pleaser award. Exactly.
most likely to give you $1.
Right. Like it was like he's most likely to be cool with everybody at school,
Yeah.
But growing up there, even though I loved soccer and I played and I have a whole kind of background about how I got into it, I didn't really understand myself as a player until I got to college, and I saw other people who looked like me, who came from similar backgrounds, who were playing, and then I saw people who didn't, or maybe they looked like me, but they were from other countries, and countries that I had no idea, East Africa and the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, all those, and kind of coming together and absorbing those cultures and like getting a different feel. That's like what really did it for me in soccer. And even through college, had a pretty good career, had no understanding of playing at the next level. So then I did media, I was a film major in college, got a job immediately at Disney and made my way out to LA and kind of never looked back. Always played pickup, lived in the Valley for about 10 years, and kind of found my love for soccer. I kind of dropped off after college because there was like a little going pro. Everybody has their like going pro story. If I hadn't hurt my knee. But really didn't had zero understanding of kind of the landscape, how to access, and I didn't even the things I was doing in high school. Like I was going to ODP camps and going to different things, going to national pool camps and things like that. But again, just had no concept in college. And it wasn't until I was playing like UPSL sometime in like 2016 to 2019. And in UPSL, you play in the U.S. Open Cup sometimes, and you get to play against pro teams. We played up against the Vegas Lights, and we played like a scrimmage game, and I just murdered their center backs. I play striker. I played center back in college. And all that yap to say is it was at that point, Eric Winaldo was the coach there, and he asked me who I was. I told him what school I went to, what age I was, and he was like, "How have I not heard of you?" And it didn't even register until that moment, and I was just like there are people in this country who love this game, who've been playing forever, and have no concept of like access to a higher level or access to into coaching areas. And obviously that's changed over the last 10-15 years, but for me that was like a big thing, and that's when I started my platform, Eat Pray Ball. Started off as a podcast even before I even had that moment with Eric, but started off as a podcast in North Hollywood. We were called the NoHo Bros, and we just wanted to talk about the game. And then after that moment, it became clear to me that I want to use this game to connect to people, definitely in America, but even overseas, who have no concept of Americans' passion for the game. Because our passion for sports is so different than all around the world. And so from there, I've just been going. I've been using kind of my filmmaking background and my TV producing experience to be kind of this multimedia hyphenate, as you so eloquently described, and have been really working these last couple of years at staying close to the game, whether it's in the youth ranks, whether it's in media, doing podcasts, having conversations just like this with people who surround themselves in the game or professionals who work within the game, and it's been great, and I just hope to keep going.
Yeah. I just want to go back to that Eric Ronaldo, because I know you're from Atlanta. And Eric Ronaldo, he coached the Atlanta Silverbacks, and they went far. Especially, I believe they played NASL.
Yeah.
Crazy run. And most of those players did play for that Vegas Lights team you're talking about, because my friend was playing that year for that Vegas Lights team when Eric Ronaldo was the coach. Edwin Rivas, he was a winger on the left side.
Okay.
But so I went to a few of those games where Eric Ronaldo was there, but especially you being from there, I think that was the reason why he might have asked you those questions, because he had that
finger on the pulse. Yeah, he understood.
Yeah, the Atlanta Silverbacks team was crazy. He had Salvadorian national team players, Menivar. So that guy right there, like,
he's an interesting guy.
Yeah,
shout out Ronaldo, because look, he's got some controversial kind of things in his past, but
harm.
he's a baller's baller, right? Like, he wants Americans to play better. He wants diversity within the U.S. national ranks. He's got this podcast now called like Unfiltered Podcast, where he talks a lot of about what he's seeing within the.
And I think it's kind of hurt him a little bit, because like U.S. soccer, and he criticizes it that it's like so insular, and like you have to be on the team, and you have to drink the Kool-Aid, and you have to like be.
You have to have known a coach.
Exactly, and all of a sudden he's criticized. He's putting like meaningful criticism, and they've just kind of shunted him off. He did ESPN, and he was on these like
Fox broadcasts.
Exactly,
for a long time.
But now I just feel like he's doing Unleashed. I think is
Unleashed, that's what it is.
And so I think he's still like every like quote unquote hot take that he has, I'm like, like that makes sense, you know. And coming from his voice, like I like he's just a guy that
just don't look at how he's saying the things. Just like listen closely, and he makes a lot of sense. He does want U.S. soccer to get better, but then you hear a curse word here, get a little animated here, and you're like, and you lose it with all those antics. But like he is talking like facts, like. Prior to like now the draft, if you're entering the draft and you're going to college, going to the MLS draft, you're probably going to be cut the following year, to be completely honest. But prior to that, it was like if you're a UCLA player and then Shiggy was out here with Seattle, and then he has that UCLA connection, like, all right, we're drafting this player because I know the coaches, I know the system. Yeah. So and then you could have been a good player playing for a Cal State Fullerton with coaches that have no friends,
connection.
Pro coach friends, and you're probably the best player in that draft, and you're not getting looked just because of that.
Yeah.
So he's right.
Yeah, it's a form of life in a way. Like, you can't, like, obviously I gripe and talk about opportunities and access for people all the time. But like in general, like wherever you go, whatever job you have, it is kind of a who you know kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Definitely.
everywhere.
I think the important thing for me, and this is again not just in the world of soccer, but for me, like the football world mirrors life in so many ways that it's like I think my call to action feels like exposure and access, like number one like things. I just want people to know that these things are available and get you information on how to access if I can't give you access myself. You know?
Yeah, and we just had Brianna Pinto on last week, and she was talking about the stuff that she's doing with Black Star and the BWPC, and they're doing a showcase for Black high school girl soccer players coming up, and so that's huge. And I think this leads into today, like the main topic today a little bit. It focuses on just like how across the world, I think, but in the U.S. specifically, like the price to enter, like the barrier to entry for soccer is just getting higher and higher. And I didn't really grow up playing, so but I played sports growing up, and I see, like the club sports landscape, equipment, travel, tournaments, all of this stuff it's just so expensive. And seeing it now with like cleats are like $400,
it's the top tier.
Yeah, like if you want I mean, you could find cleats for like $60, $70 or whatever. It's still kind of high priced. But like the top level like stuff that you know, you go to Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, and they have like the Adidas cleats, and it's like $350, $400. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The tickets for the World Cup is another thing. Like,
tickets is, yeah.
Jerseys, like, you know, we just did a story on the site talking about how the fake kit market has just boomed because of like
I can't pay $200 for a kit every year.
Tricore Sports.
Hey yo, hey, and that thing is clean too. That's as authentic as it needs to be.
Shout out.
That's interesting though.
But yeah,
good
so
for them.
So I think that this is a good kind of jumping off point to kind of get into, and like as someone that obviously has a lot of thoughts and experience in the space, like what are your thoughts on just number one? Like I guess we could talk about the most relevant thing, which is the World Cup tickets, because I think, you know, they listed the pricing of after a while. It took a lot of, you know, teeth polling,
and it is still going to be a little ambiguous.
Yeah. And then they come out with the lottery and the prices, and you see like the category 1 seats, and it's like a quarter of the stadium. Then category 2 is like another quarter. Then the 3 is like the top, whatever. And then category 4 is like 12 category 4 seats, and it's like obstructed views on like there's no chance you're gonna get that category 4.
Right.
Exactly. Like, and it's like the very top of the corner. Like, and you would expect that to be, but like the section, it was like a joke.
Yeah.
Like it was like comical to see like that little green, like
box.
and it's like where am I even looking at this? Like But what are your thoughts on just like the rising prices in general?
100%. Let's start with World Cup, because I'm a self-proclaimed World Cup boy ever since 2014. I went to Brazil and I had to go to every World Cup since, and I will say, and I talk about this on my platform a lot. I do live streams on YouTube. Even when I'm ticket buying, I'll have people pop in, and the ticket buying process, at least since 2014 to now, has been completely different every World Cup. So that is not foreign to me. The pricing has also been different every World Cup, and that's not foreign either. So there's a couple of perspectives that I'm looking at this through this lens. One is just general inflation, right? Like things are just getting expensive in every realm of the world. And I'll come back to that in a second. But to be specific on World Cup, I don't remember a category 4 until this year. People talk about there was category 4s in Qatar or even in Russia, but I don't remember. I just remember 1, 2, and 3. I always preach, especially just as a like football forward fan. Like this is this time period right now in October, or the first phase 1 periods of these ticket buying, is the best time to get in, because the tickets are at their cheapest, and usually the pricing is relatively like realistic for fans around the world. You're not going to know what teams you're going to see, but that's the fun of it. Come December, it's my birthday this year, December 5th. We're going to all know.
Draw, right?
It's the
Gang
right here.
Saj
gang.
World Cup draw.
November 27th.
World
November
Cup
27th. So
we're gonna be there. So so that is an exciting moment, and to see. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to go and get my tickets yet, despite signing up for everything. So I haven't seen with my own 2 eyes, but I do trust what people are showing. That we're seeing. I want to say category 1s were as high, or averaging around 500, which is a little. You're seeing more?
No, I'm saying that.
Okay.
I thought it was more for some reason.
Yeah. Well, so and that's the thing. We also have to kind of like cut out the noise, which is why I try to like actually show people what I'm looking at, what I'm doing, because the tickets have always been relatively dynamic based on games. A group stage match is not going to be as much as a final. Like that's just period. And in my experience, trying to get tickets for the final have been in the 500 to 800 ranges, especially even in these early parts. Like, again, I look at category, I'm doing category 1 in my head. I used to look at category 1s only. Category 1s for Qatar, I want to say probably averaged or stayed at a steady like $200 to $250. And I mean, I remember getting mine. We had USA versus Iran tickets and France, Tunisia tickets in category 1. Great seats. And again, affordably priced. For Qatar, I decided I wanted to be a price gouger or a reseller, and I bought a bunch. I bought 6 tickets per game, and then my boys who I was going with bought 6 tickets per game, and we thought we were going to do something. And the difference with Qatar specifically was you needed to have tickets to get to the country. Like you couldn't even get into
so there weren't like the last minute scalpers.
There weren't last minute scalpers. You could be out there trying to scalp tickets, but like people already had tickets and visas and could go. So it made it so much harder to try to sell, especially online, sell online. And they also had an app that wouldn't allow you to sell one ticket. Like you at least need, if you bought the ticket, it needed to be for you. It needed to like prove that you were going to a game, which I thought was smart. We bought 6 tickets. I was maybe able to scalp 4. I stayed within, asking like the price that I paid because I then realized that they were really trying to cut down on it. There's something about America specifically that makes us go, that makes the world go, oh, we're gonna make some money on this. And I think that's what people, and we cannot, for some reason, FIFA cannot like circumnavigate the StubHubs and the Ticketmasters. This is how people buy tickets. So right now they're doing hospitality tickets in their 5,000, 8,000 price points, but soon resellers are going to throw their stuff up on the StubHub, up on Ticketmaster.
I think the resale market has already opened up.
Yeah,
and it's like, I think I saw it it might have been the final.
Yeah,
it was like minimum was like $8,000, and like like as high as like $50,000 for like some tickets. Like it's crazy. Yeah. But I have the prices pulled up right now, and the category 1 for the group stage games, generally in like that 300 to 500, a couple $800 for the knockout rounds and the final and the openers. Like you're gonna get in the 4 figures, like 1,000, 2,000, which like
sounds about right.
Yeah, and then like those.
I mean, it doesn't sound right. I have to like if you're coming from Qatar, if you're coming from Afghanistan, whatever, if you're like anywhere where you're used to ticket prices at their highest being like a couple $100. This is a bit outrageous.
And you still have to travel here.
Exactly.
And find somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
And then deal with the prices of LA, or even just
Airbnb,
the
my
US
garage.
in general.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
No,
LA.
but question. All right. So one of my friends, he likes buying it right now because he says, of course, you don't know what games you're getting, but he was like, once the schedule comes out, like the trading gets crazy. Like, I'll give you Iran, USA if you give me Argentina, Venezuela.
Yeah, 100%.
And he said that in its own is fun because it's like he says like trading Pokemon cards.
Yeah, it's like trading cards.
Yeah.
Right?
So he was like,
and that I'm open for. I'm just not open for what is obviously going to happen and everybody's preparing for, which is this kind of resellers market. Some people aren't even football fans who are just who are just smart about going about it and making.
And I think that's also the issue. I think that there's other countries that genuinely love the game of football, and like they're there for the game, for the passion, for the players, for the experience. I think in the U.S., because we're not a soccer country necessarily, the first thing people think about is the money. It's like, well, how can I make money off of this?
Yeah.
Because they're just going to try to rip off the fans.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, I think about that even with basketball tickets and NFL tickets.
It's second nature for that stuff.
Yeah.
Because like even if you want to go to get concerts or tickets to a concert, like, and it's like you have to like wait your place in line and whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, it's like all the bots take it up, and like it like
gone.
It's just like I feel like that's the status quo, or that's
the
like how
culture
things
here.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
and then, but then like
for everything,
it changes the overall stadium atmosphere too, because while I don't doubt that there are people who can afford $5,000 tickets that are passionate about the game, I don't think that's a majority blanket statement. And like the people who are truly like traveling from like that just have spent years saving money for this tournament to travel from wherever, even from within the United States, like. Can they afford to, like, the people who are actually passionate, the true fans, like, I think across the board, they're getting priced out of the game. And it's just, it kind of sucks to see.
And you hear stories, because I went to the Club World Cup. I went to that River Plate Monterrey game. And I was asking some of the guys, because, like, you hear in the news, like, Argentina's going through a recession right now. And I was asking one of the guys, like, how did it cost you to get here? Like, I don't even know. I had to sell most of my stuff just to make it here. And, like, River Plate, if they qualify to the next round,
we're gonna just figure it out.
We're gonna figure it out.
Wash some dishes or something.
Yeah, eating ice for dinner for the next 2 weeks.
So so like it's crazy. Like the passion these people from other countries have is gonna be crazy because they are willing to sell everything just to come see their country play in the World Cup.
It's definitely a different passion, and again, it is that cultural kind of capitalistic. We're like the top capitalists of the world at this point. That mentality. It makes sense, but it's funny that you say priced out, because I just think in general, and this is across the world, but definitely in the United States, we're getting priced out of everything. Like one thing I can still say is like, World Cup tickets are kind of mirroring or less than Laker tickets. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and again, different arenas,
Or
different.
even like the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl is like
still nuts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And how many
Insane.
people come to enjoy the World Cup versus going to watch the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. And it's the same thing in the NBA playoffs. Like the people were like criticizing the fans in like the NBA finals or whatever that they have like those business suits and they're not wearing the shirts that are provided. It kind of ruins like the aesthetic of the stadium, and like it gets loud, but it's not like
You're not fans.
Yeah,
You know, it
exactly.
feels
Like they're there on whatever like business meetings or whatever. I'm not at that level, so I don't know what they're doing at in those games. I'm not in those meetings.
Straight
yet,
up, I've gotten some of those executive tickets before. Shout out NBA Africa. Those, first of all, those areas, you don't want to sit courtside. You want to sit like 10 rows up, just middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, like nobody can afford those at all.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a great line from Entourage where Ari is like standing up and somebody tells him to sit down. He says, "Do you know what I paid for these tickets?"
Right.
Like, I have every right to shoot a jump shot if I
right?
want to.
I'm
Like,
going on the court for the price of these tickets.
You like Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So like to answer your question from a broader perspective, one in general, we're getting priced out of everything to a certain extent. Like it's tough to find the right clothes, and want to,
Even a car.
A car.
Somewhere to live.
Shoot, I remember when like cell phone drops were like huge, and then you had to have the newest cell phone. And I think some people are still on that. And then there's people, and I'm starting to adopt this. Like I'm gonna stay on the 12 until that thing blows up.
Yeah.
Like I don't care.
There's like a trend right now, like iPhone 13 gang is going strong.
Strong.
Like, so strong. They're like,
Right.
where my people at?
Exactly.
Woo
what,
woo.
what do I need to like get this for? And the car thing is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
again, with the technology and these cars now, it's like they become cell phones. You can't have a car for 20 years.
You need a
anymore.
software
You need
update on your
you need
car,
a software,
what's going
a
on.
hard
Forget
stop,
about it.
so everything is just out of control. But in America, with soccer in general, we've been, in my opinion, priced out from the jump. It has been kind of considered as this elitist sport. And you have, like you were talking about, paying for equipment. Soccer is probably the easiest sport in the world to keep costs low. We just need an area to play. Could be concrete, could be turf, could be grass, doesn't matter. Just play on an area, we need a ball, right? And I interviewed some guys from Kenya now 2 years ago who told me, Zambia, and they told me, no, when we grew up, we balled shirts together, created a ball, and they were ballers. You know what I mean? So you don't need all of these things, but somehow the American understanding was like,
You have to commodify every little
But
thing.
that's the thing with especially I'm talking as in LA. We can have all the materials, but they don't let us play in these parks.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
they
everything's
like either
maxed
either
out
either
access.
the park is booked by a club already that we can't use. Basketball courts we can't use as soccer fields
Tennis
because
courts you
they'll
can't
kick us out.
use.
Tennis courts.
you
During the
can't use.
pandemic, I live in the Leimert Park area. I was going up to what's that? La Brea Park? No, not La Brea Park. Off of Slauson.
Kenneth Hahn.
No, where
Oh,
the
off
gas
Slauson.
where the gas station's right behind of it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
So I got the tennis courts and they kicked us out. They're like, no, this is for tennis. It was an older couple. They wanted to play tennis, but they came aggressive. Like, we got it first. Let us play, finish our game.
Right.
And like they're like, no, we'll call the sheriffs. Like, we'll call the sheriffs. Sheriffs came like, it's a tennis court. You got to get out. So
Wait, you got the sheriffs called on you
Well-
in a black neighborhood.
that's crazy, right?
That's wild. Yeah.
No, but but the sheriffs, it's not because the sheriffs run that area. So they're
Right,
right.
They call
It's
LAPD.
Well, I just mean anybody.
Yeah,
Somebody called
yeah.
somebody on you.
But I get it. Everybody want to do excellence, but like when it comes to soccer, I feel like we're a second sport to any park. Like,
Yeah.
I know in El Salvador when I went to go visit my family, the basketball court, they have 2 soccer goals under it.
Yeah.
Because they could be used for basketball or soccer. Whoever comes is the sport they're playing. And out here, it's no, like, you'll get kicked out. Like, this is not meant for soccer.
It's
Yeah.
so restricted, and everything needs permits, or you need to have access. And there's just I don't know why there's so many policies behind wanting to have more soccer courts or like even building them.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I think soccer, like you said, it's such an easy pickup game that you can make happen. We were in New York not too long ago, and me and Julio we were just like in shock at how many soccer courts there were like every other block. It was
Yeah.
insane. And people were just playing games like on a
It was
Friday
basketball.
night.
Yeah.
We were going out. I was like, let's just go play. Like, I know I'm in heels, but let's take them off real
Come
quick.
out. Let's go. Yeah.
It's just so nice. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's people playing basketball, and then there's people, like, kicking, like, the ball around or playing a pickup game. And we just don't have, or if we have that out here, like right next to it, you're seeing a sign that says no soccer.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
The no soccer signs are crazy.
Yeah.
And then even if the field is open and it's a soccer field, it's like a designated
Soccer
soccer
stadium.
area,
Yeah.
right? And nobody's using it. They lock up the goals.
Yeah, you lock up
Yeah.
the goal.
Like,
Yeah, it's
you know,
crazy.
like what, like.
And who's gonna
What's the
gonna
point?
steal big goals? Like who
Well,
has
it's
the time
not
to
to
do
It's
that?
not
steal
even
it.
to
They don't
steal.
want
They don't
people
want you
playing.
playing.
They
Yeah,
don't want, you
well,
know,
that's
like,
true. That's
unless
true.
you paying.
Yeah.
If you paying,
Yeah.
you can play.
And
That
the
is
only,
true,
the
too.
only like real fields like they're in the valley. You got to go to Whitsett
Yeah.
or
Shout out Whitsett Park.
yeah,
That's a
man.
heavy
Yeah.
big one. That's
in
a big
LA.
or like it's crazy because even though Verdugo in Glendale,
That's
they
a
have
big
the,
one.
they have the little gates and they're locked and you got to jump. Even though they're not the big gates,
They're small.
but like the point is like no more locked doors.
Yeah.
Next Friday style, like
yeah.
Yeah.
stop, like let us like,
Unlock the goals.
And then Jurgen came into the country to evaluate our soccer landscape, and he said like this country's not gonna get better until we put these open fields in the inner city. Like
Yeah.
let the inner city find soccer because he hasn't been to no other country that that the inner city is not the cornerstone of
It's
of
the
build,
core.
yeah, like
right?
of building these great soccer players.
100%.
And yeah, sports across, like even like you look at basketball and football and baseball like that. It used to be like inner city sports, like and now it's like becoming increasingly more suburban. And I think there's like the sprawl of cities in America, like you look at like the suburbs in the U.S. versus the suburbs in like Paris or the suburb. Like suburbs have a negative connotation if you go to Paris. Like those are like the lesser
Yeah, it's the
like
slums.
yeah, exactly.
It's actually where the best French players come
Exactly,
from.
yeah,
The
like
Mbappés, the
Saint-Denis,
Henrys,
yeah,
They're
yeah.
in the suburbs because
Yeah.
the rich people still live in the city.
Right, exactly.
And it oscillates in America, right?
Yeah.
Like we have our time where like inner city, all right, leave that. We'll let those kind of be the hoods and whatnot. And then they started building out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And then we've had this transition where like, no, the money's back in the city. We're pulling people. Baldwin Hills, Lamar Park, different is becoming gentrified. And now they're pushing people into Compton, pushing people past Long Beach. And they've been for years now. But
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because here, like honestly, here for you to be a good player, you gotta have money. Like that whole pay to pay system. Like, I don't, even if you try to start a club in South Central or somewhere in the inner city, it's gonna be hard because these tournaments are not cheap. Like, and then like when it comes to that, like if you bring in an inner city kid, you have to pay for their
Yeah, they need
their
scholarships.
stuff, their cleats, their jerseys. Still have to pay for their tournaments. And if your team gets good, you might go to a Dallas Cup and you got to fly, or a Nationals in Colorado, or the Kings Cup in Vegas. So like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like to be playing at a good elite youth club level, you got to come from a family with money.
Yeah. And luckily, I will say that it's going to come with time. Like I one of my biggest kind of missions is really to explore and continue to like cultivate the landscape and culture of soccer in America. And pay to play is the first thing everybody talks
Right.
about, right?
Yeah.
But if we think about even sports like basketball, even football to a certain extent, when it was exclusionary and it was primarily white, you know what I mean? It was a completely different sport. It was a college sport that we bring, you know, like our athletes and our college boys were not going off to war anymore, so they needed something. That's kind of how football became football. And it was a byproduct of soccer, rugby soccer in college at that point, right? The same thing is happening where basketball then had their trajectory. I want to say it was between the 80s. Obviously, there were like moments, right? There was like the Texas A&M team, the all-black team that wouldn't beat the Kentucky team. There's like moments in there where you see kind of the underserved communities banding together, creating something. Somebody had to help them, give them a handout, and then they, you know, became something. Then the powers that be then go, oh, we can market this. Oh, we can make money off of this. We'll bring all these players in. Now you see AAU teams with like certified pathways to pros. There's scholarships. Inner city kids get bussed in and get to play this. This is going to happen in soccer, but it's just going to take so long.
Yeah, because it's one or two. Because like, luckily, my soccer, my career growing up, I grew up, like I said, I grew up where I grew up, but I played in Venice and Santa Monica just because of the team that I was playing for. They paid for everything. My brother, another one, he from out here, he had to go pay for Real Salt. So my dad had to drive from LA all the way to Woodland Hills every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because his team was #1 rated team in the nation, and he was one of the lucky ones that he was on scholarship as well. But that story, like for every
Few and far
for
between.
every one of him, there's like 10 more ballers out there waiting for that chance, and they don't get it because they don't have a parent that can drive them to the Valley. Luckily, my dad was able to at least do that. Like from LA to the Valley is an hour and a half, especially during the week.
30,
easily. And you're making multiple trips, training trips,
and back. Yeah.
And there's great fields. Like there's the Ladera Soccer Complex, which nobody knows. Right there, you know where Snoop Dogg had the what was it? It was a video with Dr. Dre and I. He's going down like the Ladera oil farms, like oil fields. You see that? And like right there, they have a great soccer complex. Grass is
AYSO.
nice. Yeah,
yep,
AYSO. But you can get a good club there as well, and it's close to going to the west. It's center to everything, South Central, West, and everything. Yeah. And we just don't open these things for the kids in the inner city.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And people kind of do like the supply demand stuff. Like there's not enough demand for it here and whatnot. Kids like I don't know how you guys grew up, but like even when soccer wasn't even that big of a deal, it was the number one get your kid involved type sport. They used to do soccer in schools like the same way. It was like kickball, then soccer, and then you just go out. Like there is definitely interest, but there are almost invisible barriers. And I can speak from my experience. I speak from the experience of people who came up to me. I met a woman at the post office, and I was somehow singing my soccer gospel at the post office somehow. And she stops me and she was like, yeah, you know, my kid loved soccer. And I was like, loved? What happened? You know, like, what's up? She was like, well, she's 12, but, you know, she was on this U11 team at Kennethon at that Ladera Park. And she was in the final, and she had little braids in her hair. And the ref told her like she couldn't play with the braids in her hair. Whoa. And I recognize that there is probably a clause in the rule book, don't have stuff in your hair, or don't, you know, no earrings, whatever. It's a safety hazard. But you have to also kind of read the room, right? Or the community, and recognize that like in this community, you're gonna see kids with braids and beads in their braids. And it's not dangerous, and they should still play, you know? But she just got kind of, you know, talk about priced out. She was like called out, right? Because
AYSO, those like, all right, so they play sections. Once you win your division, you have to go play against other cities. But AYSO is ran by like the person that's leading that community. So if you go to a different community and that team is there as well, they will use that handbook anyway, so their team can win. And even though you have to travel an hour away to go play against them, like nope, like they would take that to advantage. It's crazy.
That's sports
and
in America,
like a whole
right?
nother
that's a whole nother thing.
Especially in AYSO, and I say that from experience. Like growing up, I never felt comfortable in AYSO because I felt very different from all the girls. And like I remember going to a soccer practice once for the first time, and my coach was encouraging me. My school coach was encouraging me to go, and I went. But like no one talked to me. No one wanted to play with me. Like it was just so I didn't feel welcome then, and it's like because I loved the sport. Like had that been like an experience that turned me away, like I wouldn't have loved the game the way I do now, because
might have never came back to it, right? Yeah.
Some of those parents that put their kids in AYSO, it's not because they just want their kids to get away from them for like
give me an hour and a half.
Let them run. But then you also see the parents who are like on the sidelines screaming at the ref all day.
Like it's their day job.
Right. Like this is my job and my kid needs to play, and you're just like, this is a rec league, man. You know, like.
All right, let's leave that conversation because I think that's a great spot to leave it on. And let's get into our next section, which is our hot take of the week. So I asked you guys to prepare a couple of hot takes, or one hot take, I guess, and just real quick we can go around, keep it short and sweet. And you know, get any thoughts that are you know, been boiling around, and get off your chest for the next, you know, couple of minutes. What do you guys got?
I can start. MLS has to change their schedule around. That FIFA schedule.
The FIFA breaks.
The international break.
Yeah, the international break. Like, because whatever, you can see the standings. Teams are getting hurt because of that. LAFC could go first place, but most of their stars right now are playing international play, so it's not fair for the teams that have it. MLS wants to grow and they want to bring a lot of great players, but it's hard for a team to succeed once their best players are going out to go play. So MLS has to change that schedule around to mirror FIFA.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
I'm cool with that. It's a little, it kind of oscillates because there's so much going around, and football is a world sport, right? So it's like, it's even kind of like going, the Premier League needs to change their schedule to accommodate the African Cup of Nations that happens in the middle of the season or things like that. They try to accommodate as much as they can, but kind of brings a bigger issue with the amount of competitions they just kind of pop up. But in MLS for sure, like we are bringing in now a lot of South American internationals, a lot of Caribbean internationals, and it's kind of like if they can go represent their country, we should allow them to go represent their country and then come back and compete in the MLS because it only makes our product better. Yeah. So I'm with you on that.
And it's an issue. It was an issue of just like the amount of players and like the push pull of like, okay, is it worth taking this week off when only X amount of players are gonna leave the league? But now, as like you said, there's more players and teams. Like I think at the last World Cup, MLS was like one of the top represented leagues at that World Cup. Yeah. Not maybe for the top teams, but for those kind of like middle the teams that are still qualifying for World Cup.
Mid-major.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And so like
the Venezuela.
Exactly. There's plenty of MLS players that are now national team level players, and so I think now it's kind of switched to where okay, you know what, maybe 5-10 years ago that made sense to. Okay, we'll just play through the international break. But now it's like, okay, we can't afford to do this, especially with teams in tight races towards the end.
You want competition.
Yeah. And then it hurts them. Like these players what if they're fighting for the supporter shield? They're 2 games away, and then their best players have to go play international break.
Or what was our example? Fighting for the Golden Boot. Right?
Yeah,
right.
These things are important.
Boanga,
and Messi. Like
it's gonna be hard against Messi.
It's gonna be hard.
But
so would you change the schedule around to mirror? Like, would you say I want to start August and go into May? And
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
It's hard to do that with just
so hard
climate wise, but and the
stadiums,
competition,
no,
all that stuff.
The Mexican League has a long
Apertura
tournament.
and
Yeah. So it's like basically long tournament, short tournament.
Yeah.
So one thing it would just give more history to more teams because there's more chances to win championships during the year. But it gives that international break, and these players, Kalen Lacosta for an example, that guy, the amount of minutes he played with the U.S. national team and club around that time when he was basically
LAFC
leading the whole team, like 2 months after the World Cup come back and he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So it gives them time to more break for the players. These players are getting around like machines.
Yeah, that's true too.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this MLS Cup final because there is the international break right now, and then there's going to be one in between the rounds.
That's right.
Round.
That's
like
crazy.
A whole
right.
group.
In November.
Yeah, in November,
right?
there's just like one whole week in between the first round going into the second round. So it's like that's going to throw off the momentum.
That's World Cup qualifying.
Yeah.
And
that's
Boanga's
World
fighting
Cup
for that spot.
He's fighting for that.
Luckily for Boanga, African qualifying ends after this break. Because they have African Cup of Nations next, and they're having to go into December into January.
I forgot they do that every
every 2 years. It's like, all right, now we have this thing, and for a team like Liverpool, who had like Mane and Mo Salah, like some big
significant
big teams
time,
will miss significant time.
Yeah.
So Boanga, it's like they have to sew it up between now and next week.
They gotta win. They gotta win tomorrow, I believe.
They gotta win tomorrow, and then they gotta win the next game.
Yeah.
They're 1 point behind Ivory Coast, so that's a big race.
And the Ivory Coast is a team with so much history. It's crazy.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of love for one Boanga,
Yeah.
but two just Gabon. I met some Gabonese people in DC like randomly, and I'm a bit of a Francophile. I've become like in love with that culture, the sport. I got to play overseas in England, but had a lot of French teams and French players. So learn the language, got into the culture, love like now these smaller French African countries, French Caribbean countries. And so I have like to see Aubameyang and Boanga and all these players, and even Mario Lamina, who's a big European player, playing for their home country, whether it was forced or not. That's a different conversation. I can't get into that. But I would love to see them qualify for the first time. But there's another part of me, Drogba is my probably favorite player of all time. Yeah. So Ivory Coast is like, they got to get in the World Cup. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. But that's an exciting race.
All right, Matt, what's your hot take?
Yeah, man, I have so many. So I kind of like that. I want to stay kind of more on I was going to give you a European hot take, but whatever. We talk about that kind of stuff all the time. I think the U.S. will go, let me say this like this, because I don't know if this is a hot take. Let me say it like this. I think the USL will have to become the primary league in America for us to start seeing some real changes in the American game. Let me say it like that.
They're the ones that are innovating with the promotion relegation,
Bringing in pro rel.
Yeah, and then like
They already have multi-tiered divisions.
and the way that like, they are grabbing a hold of the small market cities, like it's crazy.
That's where we're gonna get our guy, our Ronaldo. We're gonna get him from. I'm sorry, excuse me. Freaking Louisville, Kentucky, or it's gonna be on some random smaller market city.
And they're
El
selling-
Paso, Texas.
And they're sending players to Europe like crazy. Like they sold the kid from the OC like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy that the amount of talent they have, and like they just gotta get their academy straight.
Yeah.
I don't feel like their
don't have
academy's
enough
not there.
money. Yeah.
That's what
Some of them do.
instead of trying to take over MLS, I feel like they should just come over there because it's gonna get to a point where like the big players are all gonna go to MLS and they're gonna have a good product, but no names to be attached to the league.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, it's an American thing. We're so used to a single body league running the whole thing. It's so weird how we make sales even now to Europe, and Europe kind of sells players to us, and you're technically selling a player. Like Marco Reus is an MLS player.
Yeah.
He's not a LA Galaxy player.
Yeah.
But they bring him in, and then the MLS gives LA
Discovery
Galaxy
rights and,
right,
like, all
exactly.
this stuff, yeah.
We only have these certain designated players. That's something that, whether they meant to or not at the beginning, USL has been able to circumvent by being kind of this Division II team. And once they receive that Division I status, and once people start to see the money that will be pumped in, because again, like Europe and everybody, they come and pillage South America. Right? And we're so close to South America that you're now seeing these ballers just come up the street, come and play in Dallas. FC Dallas is one of the biggest feeders out there. So we're going to have ballers here, and I think that will bring more money, and I think USL can kind of figure out a way to make this a more sustainable model.
Yeah, because NASL had a great, they wanted to have a great run. And the history they had a Pelé. New York Cosmos, they had Pelé.
That's the craziest thing.
And they had Raul
Yeah.
from Real Madrid legend Raul in his
For the
later
Cosmos,
stage.
that was the second Cosmos. That was one of the original ones. Yeah.
But like they had the great idea. Just
They
the league
didn't
was not
even
there.
have the Mavericks, right? Like I don't even know if there was that was pre Jerry Jones taking over Dallas football
right.
team,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So even at that point, we didn't have the way to market this game the way people market other sports now, right? Like Jerry Jones was the first one who was like, I know we're sponsored by Reebok, but why can't Nike come in and sponsor my team? He was innovative in the sport of football. Somebody on my podcast said something to me that was really interesting. He was like, think about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's say they have 10 million fans, which might even be aggressive, but we'll see. They were America's team at one point. Their valuation is over $1 billion.
Most valuable team in
sports,
in
right?
sports, yeah.
Versus Barcelona, who easily have 100 million fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think their valuation is 10 million.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
10, you know what I mean?
No,
So
billion.
Yeah. No, not billion, but it's like maybe like
They have to
50
be
million.
They have to be a billion.
No, they're close to there.
Barcelona has to be because
they're so
LAFC is a
broke.
billion.
LAFC is a billion,
So
right?
there's no way
Barcelona.
Barcelona's-
Real Madrid. Barcelona.
Maybe
Real
their
Madrid
profit.
definitely.
Maybe their profits.
Their
are-
profit margin.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if
because
they're
they're
net
very
billion.
much in debt
'Cause of the
But I
state of
think
it.
their
Yeah,
valuation is
billions
still in
of
the
debt.
billion. Yeah.
But again, like if you think about the marketability of this team, and you're selling jerseys and you're doing things, that's great. But you still don't. It's funny that like the fandom overseas in South America and Europe is so passionate, so raw. But what they're not doing is they're not willing to spend thousands of dollars on their team.
Right.
I mean, obviously they'll to go to a World Cup, once in a lifetime. That's maybe a different thing. You're going to sell everything, but they're not doing the same thing as like, I got my Dallas Mavericks or my Dallas Cowboys mug and my shirt and my jacket and just merchandising out.
It's
But
frowned upon. That's
the
why.
little things are like the little things. SoFi not taking away those VIP so we can like have the final here in LA.
Yeah.
Like dude, do that. Like the amount of money you will get for that final.
That was so weird.
That was so dumb.
That was it was a pride thing. It was like I'm not gonna bow down to
this.
FIFA.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Now we only have 8 games in LA.
It is what it is. We get US though.
Yeah, we get the first 2 US games.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
All right, Bridge, what do you got?
I think that kind of goes into what I've been thinking about, just like the World Cup with the whole like ticketing process. They said they were gonna. I went into the lottery thing. I haven't gotten an email. I'm like, I guess I won't
Me
get
neither.
tickets.
Yeah.
I have Verizon. I did the Verizon claim. As soon as it like happened, it was like, sorry, all tickets are claimed. I'm like, and I tried for
Bruh.
LA, San Francisco, Seattle, and Miami. I was like,
That's so weird.
I got
man.
not one thing.
Going to Mexico.
Not
One
So
today.
I am gonna go to Mexico. If
Well,
I'm gonna
Ladies,
put
here
my
we
money
come.
anywhere, it's gonna be in Mexico.
Monterrey
But
Stadium.
I will say something I've been thinking about is like, if this is the chaos with the tickets, I think this is gonna be one of the messiest World Cups that we see. And I'm talking about like the fan base and the attendance to the stadiums. Like, I've seen Inglewood, SoFi Stadium.
Rose Bowl.
No. I've seen SoFi Stadium having a concert, the Forum having a concert, YouTube Theater
yeah.
having a concert,
And then the
and then
Intuit Dome right
the
there,
Intuit
too.
Dome
Yep.
having a game all at the same time. I've
Yep.
seen that happen, and it's horrible, disgusting. Like, I swerved into another parking lot, and the security guard tried running after me. I'm like, I'm in a car, you're not gonna catch me, and I'm not gonna stop, like, because there's no way you're gonna.
Allegedly.
He was gonna try to make me park at the Forum, and I'm going to SoFi.
Right.
Like, why would I do that?
No.
So
And I've been sitting in traffic. for
Exactly.
20 minutes anyway.
That
So-
whole area, you're right, Bridge.
it's gonna be disgusting.
But to go with that point, we've covered Real Madrid games at the Rose Bowl, the Barcelona game at
Even
the
at SoFi, yeah, and
to get into the game
for one game, and that was one friendly game.
Yeah, to get
with
into a
nothing else
game,
going
like
on.
it's crazy. They cannot get it together yet. Like,
Yeah.
usually if you don't make a line hour before the game, you're gonna be 40 minutes
You're
late.
gonna be late for the game.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what
Yeah.
they got to worry about. Like,
Yeah,
how are
this
these fans
is-
gonna get
we
in?
already saw what happened in Miami, and that was just like a little bit of what's to come next year. And I hate to say that because I want things to go well, but it's gonna be messy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be messy.
I think the one thing I will point out is that it's so stretched around from Mexico through United States to Canada that might even things out. A lot of fans will be in New York.
Yeah.
A lot of fans will be, southern side and everywhere. So it will come down to where the games are,
Yeah.
which I imagine they'll probably try to mix that up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's for a place like LA, and we were talking about, just extend the seats so we can get
Yeah.
a final here. I think it would have been a great place to have a final, but then I think about kind of trafficking of the city, and I don't even think if they made that stadium twice the size, it would be
Yeah.
it would be realistic.
I heard someone tell me about, because I know the final for the World Cup is happening in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think the U.S. Open was for tennis. It was
Yeah.
in New York, right?
It was in
York, yeah.
Queens, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so someone went and they were telling me how chaotic it was, and it was like horrible, and like they didn't even have they weren't able to get to their seats, and like it was a mess to get in.
I didn't even-
So I can't even imagine. I don't even remember if it was the final or if it was just like
They do the U.S. Open there every
it was
year,
like
too.
the
Yeah,
last.
yeah.
It was
Roland
the
Garros.
last few games of it. But I'm
Right.
just like, can you imagine what that's gonna look like in New Jersey and for the World Cup?
And they said that
final?
like the train accessibility towards that part of New Jersey
It's tougher.
It's tougher. The trains are not as like smooth sailing. So like it's
Yeah.
gonna be.
This
it's
is
gonna-
literally, it seems like this should be the perfect place to host a world-renowned event like the World
Yeah.
Cup, and it's like we are screwing it up.
like
Yeah.
'94.
Yeah.
That was, we did well in '94.
We definitely did well in 94.
We'll see if we're built for a modern
I think
World
'94
Cup.
there was also more like accessibility, like on public transportation. I don't know.
Was 94 strictly LA? I'm trying to
No,
remember.
'94 was across the country.
It was
The
across the
final,
country, yeah.
final was in LA.
Final was
Yeah.
in LA.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, the final was in LA. Yeah. of course.
Yeah. I'm actually
Bowl.
confusing 94 with the 90, I want to say it was 96 Olympics?
'96 was in Atlanta.
No, 96 Olympics was in
84
Atlanta.
Olympics was in LA.
Maybe then it's the women's. And the
Women's
women's
was 99.
99.
99. Okay,
99.
right.
That was the
99
final
is-
for that was in LA as well.
That's right.
Yeah, at the Rose Bowl.
The sports bra.
Yeah, Brandy Chastain, Chelsea.
I feel you. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, no, me too.
Me too.
Me too. I do too, because I think
Oh, that
that would be. A
We hope that
change.
this will be a cold take, but is also
Right,
a hot
exactly.
take.
Take.
Yeah.
I
We'll
hope
see.
we could go
Somebody
back and be
clip
like,
this.
thank God
I
it
know.
wasn't. Thank God it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's just scary to think about.
Yeah. Okay, real quick before we wrap, because we're running a little bit low on time. I'm gonna get mine off. It was officially approved, the La Liga game, to come to Miami, and I think Serie A is going to Perth in Australia, and I get why people are up in arms about this. I don't think that they should be that upset about it, and I think that if you look at from like what I think that this should have happened years ago. I think it's crazier that not that it's happening, but that it took this long for it to happen, because you look at what the NFL has been doing with the London series. They played a game in Brazil
They've been doing this for 15 years too.
And how successful that has been for the NFL and how they've grown. Like, I have this is anecdotal, but I have a good friend who lives in London. He's a bigger football fan than I am. Like, he's like, he'd be texting me on Sundays, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what half of these people are, man. Like, they've made huge strides there. NBA did a game in Brazil, Mexico City.
Yeah.
Baseball does a Tokyo series. They did one in London a couple years ago. So all of these things, like, it sucks from a player's perspective dealing with the travel. But if you give them like proper, and this goes to what Julio was saying earlier, but like with the scheduling, right? Like, yeah, the travel sucks and it sucks for the players, but you give them
We've got AI. Let it figure it out.
Sure,
give us a good schedule.
Give us a couple of buffer days around the travel. Yeah. I think that it introduces the game to fans that, from a U.S. fan, sure, we get the preseason friendlies or the Club World Cup, but they don't really care about those games. Maybe for the Club World Cup they did. I think the atmosphere was pretty intense there. But for those friendlies, those games suck to watch.
Yeah.
Those games are terrible. I remember we went to that Real Madrid Juventus game at the Rose Bowl. I was like, bro, I sat in 4 hours of traffic to get in. I'm sitting in 4 hours of traffic to get out.
You're hot as hell.
It's
you
hot.
See your stars,
and
your favorite players.
I get to watch the B team half-assed. You know, so to see high level competition, at in your own country, that's a unique experience and a unique opportunity. And there's the gatekeepers in Europe that are saying the game is gone. The game is gone. It's all about money, bro. It's been about money forever.
Yeah,
100%. We have Saudi oil money barons running teams.
Yeah.
There's
running leagues too.
Yeah, running. Yeah, sure.
Absorbing.
And I think that yes, you can speak up against that stuff, and I think that it's good to, right? But there's actual benefits to these league games, meaningful games being played in other countries that I think outweigh some of the the stuff that's taken away. And there's overreactions.
Yeah, the purists are mostly mad because they're like, all right, these tournaments have a home game and away game. You're taking a home game from a team that might need it because there's no playoffs here.
That's true.
There's no playoffs here. We strictly do points. We're not like these Americans that you still gotta play.
Half the league makes the playoffs. Right,
do a playoff season. So I get that point, but of course
not in La Liga.
You guys were begging for Michael.
It's gonna come down to 3 teams.
It'll be two teams really.
Yeah,
I call La Liga the Lindsay or the Olsen Twins League or the Lindsay League. It's 2.
You guys were begging for Michael Jordan for years. Let us get some games, bro.
Exactly.
Right.
And yeah, right.
No, it does make me think about it. I try to compare it on the reverse side, where again I can't afford more than maybe one Laker ticket a year anyway. But would I want to see the Lakers play overseas? Well, since I'm watching on TV anyway, maybe. And again, I definitely agree with this home court/field advantage. I wonder if there would be as much, or if there would be more outrage if this was Villarreal versus Osasuna in America. Would it even make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because it's Barcelona, because it has ties to Messi in Miami, there's just a lot of stuff going around. But at its core, the growth of the game in America is what I'm concerned with too.
Yeah.
And I do think seeing what a league match, competitive professional European league match in America would do, I'm interested in seeing that. It's not horrible.
Yeah, I think it would just grow the game, but it's gonna be a home game for Barcelona anyways. Let's be real.
It's a home game for almost wherever they go.
Right, it is. They should honestly. They should. It might as well be a home game. I think maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Any last final shout outs? Any wildcard stuff that you want to throw out there that we can plug? Obviously, Eat Pray Ball. We'll plug that at the end. Definitely. Any last minute shout outs? Anything that you've seen that got you excited?
I've seen a lot of stuff. I want to shout out. I was just working with him yesterday, and you had mentioned it with your last guest, Black Star Soccer.
You just worked with them.
I just worked with them a couple days ago. They run clinics, provide free coaching clinics, free youth clinics, programming for people. I really like what they're doing. People have a lot to say about a lot of organizations, but they're doing something. And I appreciate working with them So shout out Black Star Soccer.
Shout out to Black Star, doing great stuff.
Allstate sponsored it as well.
Allstate sponsored
Allstate,
it.
yeah.
LA Galaxy was right there at Galaxy Park, and you know I'm an LAFC. Exactly, I'm an LAFC fan. But
shout out to Black Star.
Shout out Black Star.
They're the real stars of the show.
Let's keep it with the roots.
Wait, I'm so curious. Like, how did what is the vibe of like LAFC versus? Because you guys grew up in LA, right? So like, I'm so surprised y'all aren't Galaxy through and through. LAFC is 8 years old, 9 years old.
I went to Manu Arts High School, so across the street.
Got it.
So it was like
proximity.
And then so and I even graduated when it was a sports arena. I graduated from there as well, so high school. But for me it was once Beckham and the European stars come in, I feel like they Galaxy was trying to be the global team, and they forgot about
the locals.
And then LAFC, if you remember, they had a backup Honduran goalkeeper. Their first forward was from Costa Rica. A lot of Venezuelans, Ecuadorians. So they
felt grassroots.
Yeah, from like a Latino party the first few years.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Now I'm drinking soju because the sun. Shout out sun.
Yeah. All right.
Soju Lada.
Soju Lada. Oh, that's fire. Those are fire.
Those
Yeah.
are actually super good.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast. You can follow Matt, Eat, Pray, Ball, Instagram, YouTube, podcast, wherever you find that. He's just great stuff. You know, I'm glad we were able to make this happen on the first time. We were scrambling a little bit the last minute, but we don't. But
apologies for that.
No, it happens. And but thank you again so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Definitely a pleasure being here. Keep doing what you guys are doing. We're watching. Obviously, it's great to connect in this small community. And obviously, been seeing you guys for forever. So finally, good to kind of come.
Hell
come be on the
Great
couch.
hanging out with you.
Thank
Could
you.
have kept going, but we got.
I know. We got
time.
time for drinks. This has been another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, The Beautiful Game of Life, part of the Believe Network. For Julio Monterosa, Matt Marshall, Bridget Flores, I'm Ramsey Abushala. We'll see you next week.